Welcome back, and now let's look at our first concept, of which we will be looking at develop a question. Now, when developing a question, one needs to closely look at the given context at all times in order to choose the appropriate data collection instrument and identify the type of data. Now, let us look at the same example that we've talked about before our ad break. The principal at one of the secondary schools in Gauteng noticed that most learners arrive late at school. He therefore decided to investigate the cause of late arrival at school in the mornings. So now we have said that firstly you need to identify the main problem. Thereafter, have your sub-questions so that they guide you as to which instrument you are going to use and identify the type of data that you will be having. So now in this case, we are given that the data can be collected using survey. Survey may be used whereby the principal can just stand at the gate during arrival time and observe the learners by just looking. That's the survey. And then he can also take the records whereby now all the learners that have arrived late will be recorded on a spreadsheet or on a list as per class. And documents can also be used whereby now he'll be checking from the admins which learners have arrived late in grade 8, grade 9, and so forth. And you can also use the focus group interview whereby now he'll be asking specifically to the learners who has arrived late as to now what is the cause of them arriving late. It could be a focus group. It could be 3 or more learners being interviewed, and there's also an individual interview whereby now it will be one-on-one with the principal. And he can also identify the type of data. It can be a numerical data because now as he will be using the records and documents, he'll be checking how many learners. So by checking how many learners, that's where by now he'll be using numbers. That's why we are saying it will be a numerical data. And the second concept could be collecting data. Now, data collection is a process of gathering information from a population or a sample. Remember, we have explained that a population is a large group of people whereby the research will be done on, and the sample is a small portion taken from the large group of which is the population. Right, so now let us look at the data collection methods or instruments that anyone can use when doing a research. Firstly, it can be forms and questionnaires whereby an individual will be given a piece of paper and answering questions individually and not discussing it with anyone. It could be an interview, they'll be talking. It could be an individual or a focus group whereby an interviewer will ask question and then he will get a response. Could be an observation, documents and records whereby all that have arrived late will be recorded down, focus group, oral histories, combination research, online tracking, online market analysis, social media and monitoring. Now, all these are the data collection methods that can be used when you do a research. Now remember, you cannot take all of these to do or to use on your research. Remember, it will depend with the given context. Every time you must closely look at the context. Now, if this principal will be doing a research on a late arrival, obviously he cannot do online market analysis. He will have to choose the most appropriate data collection method that will be relevant to the context that he is dealing with at that present moment. Right, now we look at examples on collecting data. The first example here that we are having, it says tracking a learner's performance from a previous grade. So now from a previous grade, it means from the grade that the learner comes from. Now, he can, a teacher or an administrator can use the documents and record as to check the progress of a learner on the previous year. They can use reports from term 1, term 2, term 3, and 4. That's why we talk of documents and records, because the report will indicate the performance of a learner from each subject as per year. Let's look at number 2, meals that are bought the most during lunch. So now, if you want to find out the learner's preferred lunch during break, you can do the observation. They can be other instruments, but observation can also be used. Number 3, the number of hours spent by learners studying for their exam. So we're looking at the number of hours. It can be an interview. We can use an interview, or you can use a questionnaire by giving them questions and they answer as to how many hours they spend studying for their exam as per subject, or you can also interview them. Then number 4, we have shoe sizes of learners in class A. It can be a questionnaire whereby a learner will answer the shoe size that he or she wears, and maybe the type of a shoe that he would prefer to wear at school. Then lastly, the favorite radio station in an area. So we can use data collection instrument. It could be a focus group, or it can be a questionnaire whereby everyone will be answering as to say, this is the radio station that I enjoy. Or if it's a questionnaire, then they'll be answering from the given questions on the questionnaire. Right, so now we are going to take a quick ad break. We'll be right back.